On 7 Up Front tonight, Juneteenth, which just yesterday was established as a federal holiday with the signature of President Joe Biden following action in the U.S. Congress. Joining me for a discussion of Juneteenth is Jamon Jordan, a local Detroit historian. Mr. Jordan, thanks for being there tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with the recognition of Juneteenth by the federal government. How important a moment is this?
So one of the things that it helps us understand is that Juneteenth is a holiday really that is big enough for the whole country. It is the celebration of freedom. And just as there's been so many other celebrations that the whole country honors, the end of World War II with Veterans Day, or World War I with Veterans Day, and the end of the Civil War with Memorial Day. Well, the end of slavery, the celebration of freedom, is a day that is worthy of honor by everyone.
So for those who don't know the history, educate us on the significance of Juneteenth, which dates back to 1865, and the celebrations that go way back in many parts of the country.
Yeah, that's right. So, of course, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, in the middle of the Civil War. But slave owners would escape from Union-held territories. So as the Union invaded the South, places like Louisiana and people in Alabama, many of whom were slave owners, fled to Texas, where there was very little Union military presence. So they continued to practice slavery in an area where the Union military had not reached. So even though the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed, unless there was military there to back up the Emancipation Proclamation, or unless African Americans escaped from slavery, then they would be still enslaved by Confederates and slave owners in the South. And so it took until June 19th, 1865, which is 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed. It's even after Lincoln was assassinated. It's after Robert E. Lee surrendered at Appomattox in April of 1865. The Civil War is technically over, but there's still a war to end slavery in one part of the United States, and that's Texas.
So where do we go from here? The holiday is one thing, of course, important as it is, but there are many other issues of equity and equality that remain. I'm reading comments today from a number of prominent African-American leaders and thinkers who say there's work to be done.
And indeed there is. Just as we thought, or some people thought that the Emancipation Proclamation had solved the problem, but there was still more work to be done to end slavery in certain parts of the South, particularly Texas. Well, in the same fashion, even though there's a celebration now, a national celebration of Juneteenth, there's still work to be done in the issues of voting rights, in the issues of reparations, in the issues of racial equality and criminal justice and police brutality. So these are the substantive issues. So it's great, the symbolic issues of honoring a holiday, but it's more important to deal with these substantive issues that have been with the United States for hundreds of years.
And we thank you for that and for the education on Juneteenth, the history, the origins, and where we go from here. Jamon Jordan, local Detroit historian, we thank you for joining us tonight on Up Front.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And we'll be right back.